All right. Hi, everybody. This is Jason from Junior Achievement, and my special guest today is Mark Daoust, one of my favorite people. Mark is the founder of Quiet Light Brokerage. Mark, how are you today?
Good, Jason. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. For the students watching, Mark runs a business brokerage. He sells internet businesses. Mark, what the heck does that mean? What's a business broker and what's an internet business?
Well, a business broker is kind of like a real estate broker in that we sell people's existing businesses. So just like if somebody was selling a house, they would hire somebody who specializes in selling houses, and that person would help them prepare the house and maybe tell them, hey, you should fix that leaky faucet or maybe change that wall color. And then they would help them find buyers and get those offers and negotiate the deals and go through all the complexities of selling that house. Well, we do the same thing, but for people's businesses.
So if I owned a restaurant, I would hire a business broker if I wanted to sell it.
Exactly. Restaurants are common, coffee shops, laundromats, gas stations. These, if somebody wants to sell something like that, then they would hire a business broker. But we don't do any of that. We only work with internet-based businesses. So we only work with the online stuff.
Okay, so what's an internet-based business? I go through my local town. I see laundromats. I see restaurants. I see Jiffy Lubes. What's an internet-based business? What does that mean?
Well, they can take a lot of different forms. I mean, I think most of the people watching this, there are websites that they often like to go to. So Twitter is an internet-based business. Now, we would never sell Twitter because they're way bigger than what we deal with. Or TikTok is also an internet-based business. But the types of businesses we work with often will sell products, or goods, and a lot of them are actually selling right through Amazon.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, so let's stop there for a sec. I mean, when I think of websites that I use, I use Zoom. We're using it right now. I use Amazon. I use eBay. I use Google. I use Facebook. I can't think of a lot of other websites that I go to regularly. So what are you saying about they sell through Amazon? What does that mean?
Yeah, so Amazon actually doesn't own most of the products that they sell. Over half of what you buy on Amazon is actually being made or acquired by regular business owners who are selling through Amazon. Amazon is kind of like a giant garage sale that's
Okay.
been formalized, and you can buy products and send them to Amazon and then create a listing, and then someone buys it. Amazon takes a little bit of that money, and you get the rest of the money for selling through Amazon.
Okay, so like if I bought a set of coffee mugs on Amazon last week, you're telling me it wasn't necessarily the Amazon corporation that sold me those coffee mugs.
That's right. In fact, it probably wasn't. We had a client who was selling cups, actually, and she had them manufactured. They were made of copper, so they looked really nice, and they would look really nice in like a home bar. And she was having them made, and she would order, 500 cups, and then send them to Amazon's warehouse, and then people would buy one cup at a time, and she was getting the profit for that. Amazon shipped the product and took care of the customer, but she was the one making and creating the products.
Okay, so was she literally sitting in her house with copper, spinning it around to make mugs? Or
You know,
how does a normal person go about learning how to make products?
Yeah, there's actually a number of things that people do. There are some people that are making their own products for Amazon, but most don't do that. Most are hiring manufacturers, either here in the US or in other countries, to make products for them. Or they're taking companies, working with companies that are already making products, but then putting their own brand or maybe their own twist on them. For example, trying to think of a recent company that I dealt with that did this. Well, let's talk about this cup company.
Okay.
She worked with a company that makes cups, but she said, I want to have this sort of Irish looking design around the edge of the cup, right? That's what's going to make my product different from everybody else's. Can you make this cup with that little design? And that'll be my type of cup. And they said, yes. And so they did the work, but she was hiring them to make the cups.
Okay, so let's break this down. She is what we'll call the entrepreneur. She had an idea. She said, I can see that there's copper cups that look like this, but I think they would look nice if they had a little design on them. So then she did some searching and she found what we'll call a manufacturer. right? And the manufacturer said, hey, we already know how to make cups, and yes, we'll put the little design on them. Now, how come the manufacturer doesn't just sell the cups directly on Amazon? What is her place here?
Right. So manufacturers tend to do one thing really well, and that is make products. And for them, they want to make a lot of products and sell them in big batches. And so that's what she does. She's going to order a minimum amount from them every time. So for the manufacturer, they get to sell, 500 cups at a time instead of just selling one cup at a time.
Okay, so the manufacturers, they make things. The entrepreneur, the lady that we're talking about, she buys them at what we're going to call wholesale prices, right?
That's right. Yep. She's paying less for them than what you would pay for at Amazon.
Okay, so if I paid $5 or $10 for a copper mug, how much did she pay when she ordered 500 of them?
She was only paying $2 per cup.
Okay, but she had to buy a lot of them, and that's what made it worthwhile for the manufacturer. Okay, so the difference between the $10 I paid her and the $2 she paid is her profit. Is that right?
That's right. Yep. That we call that her gross profit. So she had to pay $2 per cup, but she gets to sell them at $10 for each cup.
Okay. Now, Amazon, the company Amazon has been around for about 25 years. Are they just doing this to be nice, to let her sell to their customers, or are they getting something out of it?
I'm not sure if Amazon has ever been described as nice, but so yeah, they're definitely taking some money out of it. In fact, they take about 30% of the price.
Wow.
Yeah, it can be pretty high. So they're going to take out of the $10, they're going to take $3 out of that. But she's still making $5 for every cup that she sells.
Okay, so really what she's providing as far as value is she had the idea to put the design, and she thought people would like that design more than what was already there. And she's taking some risk. So she had to buy 500 cups up front. And if no customers like me come and buy them from her, she's got a whole lot of cups in her house. Is that right?
Right. Well, she probably doesn't even have them in her house. She probably sent them to Amazon, but she still has them at Amazon, and she is out the money that she's spent. So she's got some options now. If they aren't selling, if people are like, well, I like the cup, but I don't $10 like the cup,
Okay.
right? Then she has to make a choice. She can either try and package it with other products to make it more appealing. Maybe she sells with that cup a straw, a nice bamboo straw, or she can lower the price to make it more appealing for people to buy.
And if she lowers the price, she'll make less profit.
She'll make less profit. That's right.
Okay. If I can back up for a sec, you had said she doesn't take the 500 cups into her house, she sends them to Amazon. So you're talking about fulfillment. What is fulfillment, and how does Amazon fit into fulfillment?
Right. So fulfillment is when you're selling products on the internet, or really anywhere, but anytime you're selling products on the internet and that order comes in, you have, as the entrepreneur, you have to fulfill that order, which means you have to get it packaged and then shipped out. Amazon has done a great job with fulfillment. That's what they're known for.
So Amazon will when I order a copper mug, Amazon will put it in a box, put a stamp on it or FedEx label, and get it to my house within a couple of days. So are they charging for that service as well?
That's part of the service that they charge and some of the money that she's paying. Yes, so she has to pay for all of that shipping, and then she also has to pay them for storage costs to use space in their warehouse.
Okay, so that means she doesn't want to order too many cups at once, because if they don't sell quickly enough, she has to pay Amazon to keep them in the warehouse. And for any students that are here in Reno, the very first Amazon warehouse was nearby. It was in Fernley, Nevada, about 30 minutes from us. And it's just a giant building where they have all sorts of stuff. So that's the kind of building where she's keeping the mugs, right?
That's right, absolutely. And like you said, she doesn't want to order too much. And she also wants to make sure her product is moving, because she's going to be paying rent on some of that space, right? So if she keeps product there too long, they will keep charging her, and then her costs will go down.
Great. Oh, okay, so let's just take a minute and, if you don't mind, review some of the key terms we've talked about. So the entrepreneur is the person that had the idea. The manufacturer is the company that's actually making the mugs. The wholesale is when the entrepreneur buys a whole bunch of the mugs at one time. The fulfillment center is what Amazon owns. It's the big building, and she has the manufacturer send the mugs directly to the fulfillment center. The marketplace is the Amazon website where the consumer, a customer like me, will go and pay $10. Did we leave out any terms?
No, that's it. But when you hear it that way, you realize that that little white mug that you just showed up on the screen has had quite a life, and a lot of people that have touched it along the way to get into your hands.
Yeah, that's why I always wash the mugs when I get them.
Probably a good idea.
Okay, that's fascinating. So now, enter your company, Quiet Light Brokerage. The entrepreneur came to you and said, what?
Well, she said, my business is doing great. She was doing really well. People loved her mugs, and it was growing really, really fast. So every time that she was making money, remember, she was making money every time she sold a mug, but she was growing so fast, and so many people were asking for more mugs that she had to order more and more and more. So she was taking all of her money and putting it back in the business just to grow it.
Okay, so let's take a pause there. Me, you, and 20 of our friends order a mug. She's made $5 profit off each of those. So that's $100 that goes to her. But instead of going out and buying pizza, she ordered more mugs. She ordered 50 more mugs at $2 each because demand, there were so many customers wanting it, she had to keep buying more and more. Is that right?
Exactly. It was growing. So let's say like you said, 3 of you just bought it. But now all of a sudden you're realizing there's 10 more people that are actually wanting this mug. So now I can't just sell 3. I got to go out and buy another 10 of these. And then those 10 people buy something. And then she realizes there's actually 25 people behind them that want to buy this.
So that sounds like a good problem to have. As an entrepreneur, don't you always want more customers?
Absolutely. It's a great problem to have. And this is where a lot of businesses, we're talking about Amazon. Amazon didn't see a profit. You might know this offhand, Jason. I forget how many years it was before they saw an actual profit from their business. Do you know offhand?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot, 15 plus. And to my understanding, that's why they started to allow entrepreneurs like your client to sell, because Amazon now gets 30% of every sale, but they don't have to tie up their own money, their capital, in inventory. Amazon doesn't have to go buy a whole ton of mugs themselves because they've got someone like this lady that will use her money, her capital, to buy inventory, which is the mugs. Inventory is what we call the products that are being sold. So, okay, so that explains why Amazon does it. So then for your client, for this lady, it sounds like she has this great business. She's selling a lot of mugs, but there's not a whole lot of money going into her pocket every month because she keeps using it to buy more and more. Is that right?
That's right. Now, I'll add one more thing in here. There are 2 things as an entrepreneur which are more valuable or more useful than anything else. One is your capital, which is your ability to grow your business, and the other is your time.
And
right?
let's define that again. Capital is money. Right?
Is money, right? Capital is money. It's what you have to be able to grow the business, to buy more inventory, hire people. If you need to program a new app, you need to use capital money to accomplish that. Okay. So that's one thing is the capital that you have, money that you have to grow the business. And the other is your personal time.
Okay.
And as an entrepreneur, you have a choice when you're growing so quickly. You can either hire people to start doing some of the work for you, or in her case, she looked at her life and said, I don't want to sell cups all my life. I would like to do some other things. And so she decided to sell what she had started, not just the mugs, but the business idea and the products and all the momentum she had, and take some of that, is it the money that she got from selling that, and then go do something else in the future.
Okay, so that's where you came in. So the entrepreneur had started a business. There were a lot of customers. She was reinvesting most of her capital back into inventory, which is more products to sell on Amazon. and she thought, this is a great business, but I'm working a lot. I'm getting kind of tired. I'm not terribly excited about doing this for the rest of my life. So I'm going to call a business broker and see if he can sell my business. And that's you. You're the business broker.
That's right. And the really cool thing is, even though she wasn't seeing any money in her pocket, right, because she had to reinvest all the profits back into the business itself became worth something. Just like a house, when you sell a house, is worth something, her business started to become really valuable because people like it when people like to buy products.
Okay. So who, first of all, how valuable is a business? If you're selling copper mugs, will someone pay $10,000 for that business, or is it worth $1 million? What's it worth?
It depends on how much you're selling, right?
Okay.
And it depends on the size of the business. So this is what we call the asset value of the business,
Okay.
which is a big, long word to just say, how much is it worth, right?
Okay.
How much is somebody willing to pay? So there's a lot of different ways that we can try and figure out how much a business is worth. One really simple way with a business that's selling products on Amazon is just to look at how much money do they take in. So she was selling her mugs for $10. Let's just say $10 a cup.
Okay.
And let's say that she sold 100,000 cups,
Okay.
right? So she made $1 million in a year. So one very simple way would be to just say, what is 1 year's worth of sales? And that sometimes can be a good estimate of the value for a business.
So an individual entrepreneur selling a product that they thought of on Amazon when they're not even making it, they can start a business that can be worth $1 million in just a couple of years.
There's a story of a gentleman that we know within our work. We didn't work with this guy. He's started a soap company, and in 3 years he sold it for $100 million. So yes, absolutely.
Wow. Okay. So you can really get rich being an entrepreneur. So now you're the broker. So you sold the business for her. Who do you sell it to? Who's buying a business where someone is selling something on Amazon.com?
Yeah, there's a lot of people who actually want to buy these businesses. Some of these people are other entrepreneurs who want to continue what somebody else started and like to see something that's already selling. They know that people already want to buy these cups. And so for them, they want to just continue to grow that company.
And I mean, that would be, in this case, worth $1 million to somebody potentially?
Potentially. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the person that's buying it, do they just have $1 million sitting around, or how do they pay for it?
Well, sometimes they do, but oftentimes they get a loan from a bank, or maybe they raise money from friends and family, or they raise money from other people. So people might give them some money or lend them some money on the expectation that they're going to get some of that money back, or more than they get back more than they invested in.
So you had mentioned a bank. So, I mean, you mean like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, kind of a bank?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So if I want to buy a business that someone is running on Amazon and I need $1 million, Bank of America will just write me a check for $1 million.
Well, they might not just write you a check for $1 million. They first want to make sure that the business is worth lending money on, right? So they're going to look at the business and say, is this business stable? Do we think it's going to be successful in the future? And are you going to be able to pay us our money back?
So that's called underwriting. Someone at the bank is going to look really strongly at the financial aspects of the business, the product, that kind of thing, and decide, is it worth what the business buyer is willing to pay?
Right. So they'll look at the business, and then they're going to look at you too, right? They're going to say, do you know what you're doing? Are you capable of running this business?
Okay.
And do you have any money as well? Because we'll give you a lot, but you need to put some in too. We're not going to give you all.
They're not going to give me the full $1 million. They might give me 800,000.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Now you're the business broker. How do you find people that want to buy these businesses? Are you just picking up the phone book and calling around, or what?
Well, a lot of brokers do that, but once you're established, buyers will come to you because buyers are really actively looking for a good business to buy.
Okay.
And so most of our buyers come to us. They ask us what we have for sale, and we regularly announce that we have something new coming up. And these buyers, again, they want to find that next good business.
So they're ready. So the people that are buying the businesses, they're ready and able, and they're calling you, and they're prepared to move pretty quickly. So
Yeah. Mhm.
okay, so from soup to nuts, an entrepreneur has an idea. She contacts a manufacturer to help her build it. She does a wholesale order of a bunch of the products, sends it to a fulfillment center run by Amazon. Customers come onto Amazon, they buy the product, they buy a lot of it. That's where she knows she's got a good business. After a couple years, she can call a business broker like you and say, I want to sell my business. You set her up with a business buyer. The business buyer is talking potentially to a banker who is underwriting a deal. The bank will give most of the money to the buyer, and the buyer gives that money to the original entrepreneur. And after a couple of years, she might be a millionaire, and the buyer has now owns the cup business. What about you as the broker? Are you just doing this out of the goodness of your heart?
Well, I have a lot of goodness in my heart, but I'm not that good. So
Okay.
we do ask our clients, we call them sellers.
Okay.
That's the entrepreneur who started the business. When they hire us, we tell them that we'll help them, but we take a percentage of the price of the business, and it's usually about 10% of the sale that
Okay.
comes.
Okay. So you get what we call a marketing fee for finding the buyer. Okay. This is fantastic. So for any students watching, well, let me ask you another question. How long have you been doing this? How long have you been selling businesses? Since what year?
Yeah, 14 years now. And I actually started because I sold my own business through a business broker, and that inspired me to get into this. So I've been helping other people sell their businesses now for 14 years.
Okay. Since 2006?
2006. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So a quick note to any students watching. I personally started an internet business in 2003, and I really wanted to sell it around 2005 or 2006. I had never heard of a business broker back then. I wish I would have known Mark, because he would have helped me do what's called an exit. An exit is when you sell your business, or also if you take a company public, which is something we can talk about another time. But I literally did not know that business brokers existed. And now Mark has been operating and selling online businesses for 14 years. So that's a pretty long time. It means it's a pretty established industry. So Mark, for students at home, I'm kind of almost, well, let me ask two questions. First of all, to be a business broker like you, like if somebody wants to work for you, what qualifications and experience do they need before you'll hire them?
Well, at Quiet Light Brokerage, what we're looking for specifically is people who have had that experience as an entrepreneur, right? So the woman who's selling cups, I want somebody like her. And more importantly, I want somebody who's had that experience selling a business like she did. So if she came to me, I would be very interested in working with her, because I love that she's had that firsthand experience of going through it herself.
Okay, so it sounds like becoming a business broker is not something that most people are going to do right out of college, because they need to get some experience first. What about to be an entrepreneur like her? Because it sounds like she's the one that made some real money here. What kind of college degree do you need? What kind of approval? Who's your boss? How do you become an entrepreneur selling on Amazon?
There is nothing stopping you from being an entrepreneur right now. In fact, I'm in the process of working with my daughter, who's 14, to start her own business as well. Because
Wow.
you don't have to have a degree. You just have to have an idea for a good product and then be willing to experiment and try things.
That's fantastic. So a 14-year-old can sell on Amazon if she's got her parents' help, right?
That's right, as long as she has an adult to help.
Okay. So what are the risks for her? I mean, is it all upside? Is it a
No.
guaranteed salary?
No, absolutely not. In fact, she's probably going to have to work very hard, and there's no guarantee that she'll make money from it. In fact, there's a good chance that she might lose money from it initially.
Okay.
I'm going to help her with some of the money, but she's going to have to put up some of her own money as well. And she's going to have to put in her time as well. And maybe people don't like what she wants to sell. She wants to go into puzzles right now. So we're looking into puzzles. So who knows? Maybe, what we're doing for her is we're researching it first, because I don't want her just to lose her money, and I'm going to help her out, and I don't want to lose money either. So I'm going to show her how somebody can look into what we call keyword data, which shows what people are searching for on Amazon and what products are selling. Now, these are programs and they're tools that help us see that information. So we know in advance people are really buying puzzles, or no, people aren't buying puzzles on Amazon.
So that's what we would call market research. So before she spends a bunch of money buying a bunch of puzzles in a wholesale order, she's doing market research to try to get a good idea of whether anybody wants to buy these puzzles from her, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that's fantastic. And I'm doing the exact same thing with my 12-year-old. So, Mark, this was a fantastic interview. This was super helpful. For the students watching, one of the reasons I wanted to interview Mark is I personally find it fascinating, all the different things, all the different people and groups and entities that are involved. You think you're just buying a coffee cup on Amazon. There are so many things going on behind the scenes that we're not aware of. But the person that's the entrepreneur is, you don't need a college degree. You don't need a lot of experience. And it sounds like you can become a millionaire. And there's no guarantees that you will. But in my opinion, when I look at the job market now, most of the jobs are either high knowledge jobs where you need to understand how to program computers or something like that, or they're relatively low wage jobs like driving an Uber or working at Walmart. There's not a lot of in between nowadays. One of the reasons that I really wanted to interview Mark is I've personally witnessed lots and lots of people who sell stuff on Amazon, on eBay, on Etsy, even on Facebook, on their marketplace, who make a lot of money, and all they have to do is, they need to do a little bit more, but really they have to have a good idea of what other people may want. So to me, that's almost the fastest track entrepreneurship program that I've witnessed in my whole life. Would you agree with most of that, Mark?
Absolutely. I think it's easier in today's world to make money than it's ever been. Easier today to start a business than it's ever been, frankly, ever.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And this doesn't necessarily fit with what we hear in the news, because there is a lot of disparity in incomes. Some people make a lot, some people don't. But one thing that I love about today's options for entrepreneurship are they don't discriminate. When you sell on Amazon, no one cares what your background is. They don't care what your gender is, what your race, what your religion is. All they care about is, do you have a product that they want to buy, right?
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. Mark, this has been wonderful. Thank you very much. I'm sure the students at home are very happy to watch. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks again for having me.